And we're live. Hey, Dalyce, this is Chris. I've got you on the line here, and I appreciate you coming on with us today. We are streaming this live in a couple of our Facebook groups. And everyone who's watching, let me introduce you to Dalyce Niels. Dalyce is one of our dealmaker proteges who closed an incredible business deal. How long ago was it?
We closed this one January 8th of this year.
Okay, so just about 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago. So still fresh. And just tell us real quick, what kind of deal was it? What kind of business was this?
It's in the electrical services industry.
Okay.
And it was an asset purchase through a broker. And we found it. We met with the owners. We liked them. We liked the business. We have a good relationship with them even still. It's things have been good.
I mean, it's exciting to hear that you bought this business in January. You had a partner, Justin, on this deal as well.
Correct.
I think I heard you all are actually working on some other ones as well already.
Yeah, we just closed another one on the 12th of February also.
Wow. So 2 deals in 2 months. And then how long have you been inside of our world, inside of Dealmaker Protege?
I joined Protege in July.
July
of last year, and then this first deal was actually supposed to close in October, but due to all kinds of cool stuff, as you've ever dealt with the SBA or anything, that is not a quick process.
It's not. We're in the middle of one right now, and we've been waiting on it for a while. So yeah, I can understand that for sure.
Yep.
Well, for everyone watching, I mean, the idea of getting into business acquisitions, I mean, what sparked that for you? What got you interested in doing business acquisitions to begin with?
Well, originally, so I've worked as a journeyman lineman for 15 years, and one thing that everyone who has any sense in that trade does is they start to get into real estate. And so I got into real estate, which kind of led to business acquisition because it's almost real estate on a grand scale, right? You have still the tax benefits, but larger cash flows than you do in that. And that's kind of what led me in this direction. And then come to find out, Justin and I were both actually starting Protege about the same time. We didn't even know that we were doing it. And we hopped in together, and then we're like, well, we might as well do this together too. So
I think it's so much fun to do this as a team. I think deal making is a team sport. I've closed quite a few deals with my partners, Carl and Ross and Jared and my other partners. And I feel like it's so much more fun. I think we all play our own roles as well. It's kind of like a football team.
Absolutely.
You need more than one player. And then if everybody plays the same position, it would be kind of a terrible team. So it's cool to align yourselves with people who fill in your gaps and fill in your six. So, well, neat, man. So broker deal, electrical contracting company, is that commercial or residential?
We do both. We're about a 70-30 residential commercial split. And we don't do anything in track homes. It's all high-end custom homes, ultra fancy stuff. And then commercial is commercial. We don't do any industrial, not that we're scared of it. We just don't have that division yet. And our service side is even light, but we've got room to grow.
So let me ask you a question. Real estate came first. You said it's pretty common for whatever reason in your industry for people to get into real estate and then into business acquisitions. Did you have any fears or anxieties or apprehensions around getting into business acquisitions, or did you fear it was going to take a lot more time than it did to pursue it? Like, what was going through your head when you first decided to jump in?
So I've always lived by the mantra of I'm too dumb to be scared. So, but yes, it's terrifying. I don't know what I'm doing, right? Like, you're like, okay, let's look at this. How do you do it? No idea. Okay, let's find somebody who knows what they're doing. Let's have them teach us, why reinvent the wheel and try to learn it all it goes to a who, not how mentality of, figuring that out.
So people who've never really got into business acquisitions too deep and never done a deal, it's safe to say, and I know this for a fact, that it's a lot more work once you get in there than you may think. And also, even if you feel like you have a good handle on it, once you get into the transaction, it's so radically different than real estate in many ways, as well as it's a kind of a thing where you have to find somebody who's already done it to know what steps to take. So what would your advice be for somebody who's thinking about doing it and they're thinking they're just going to YouTube their way through it and do it on their own?
Well, I'm not going to say you can't do that. I don't recommend it. You can learn obviously little bits of a lot, but then you become a master of nothing. And you might as well have a program that guides you from day one to what we'll call it day 365 and walks you through every bit of it. Um, Otherwise you can dummy your way through all kinds of things. I mean, I've worked on all kinds of stuff, cars and different stuff you get into, and it's like, oh, let's YouTube this. I'm not going to YouTube, $1 million deal. That's too big of a gamble to just go off on a whim.
Yeah, the margin for error is much higher. There's a book called The Road Less Stupid, and the author talks about a concept called the dumb tax. And there's just things that you make mistakes that cost you a lot of money, or they cost you a lot of money that you could have made, right? And I think when you look at business acquisitions from the outside looking in, it's just buying a business can't be that hard. There's just lots of little steps. And really even just the simple things like initial vetting of a deal or understanding the way the financials work is so important because there's multiple commas and zeros involved a lot of times in these larger business deals, and one mistake can cost you a lot more money. So just being around people who understand it's huge. So for you, being a part of Protege, outside of partnering with Justin, doing 2 deals here so far, joined in July, did 1 in January, 1 in February. Outside of that partnership with Justin, when it comes to the actual group, the community, the camaraderie, what are your thoughts on that? And if somebody who was watching this was thinking about getting into Protege, what would you tell them about what's beyond the coaching?
The group is incredible. I mean, where else can you go where you're going to meet people from all over the United States and then all over England and Canada? And, like there are people with experience from every market in pretty much, well, every field of business plus every market in the greater part of the world, more or less. If you don't know something, I'm almost certain somebody in this group does, and if they don't, they know somebody that does. The connections is incredible.
Yeah, we have a pretty big footprint, definitely in the U.S., Canada, and the United Kingdom, and some of those other areas that are English speaking around the world. And what I think is so cool is every time I need something, I can go to the community, and like you said, there's somebody in every industry, there's somebody in every small town who's there to help. And I'll tell you what else is really interesting. I'm watching these meetups pop up all over the country right now with people where there's large congregations of our team and our deal makers inside of certain cities. So that's been really cool to watch that. I know that in some other larger communities like a Pace Morby Sub 2, they have all these meetups all over the country. And I think it's really cool how they do that. So I'm glad to see us doing that as well. And where you live in the Midwest, I know there's a lot of people as well. So we've got to get a meetup put together for your area. So let's talk about the deal itself. So let's talk about the first one. We'll go in the second one. The first deal, broker deal, you mentioned SBA loan. It's quite the process. Yet, it's also kind of an essential part of the process when you're going after larger deals where you're not going to go out and try to bring on a whole bunch of angel investors and dilute your position. Going through the equity or the SBA for debt financing is one of the best ways to do it. That's why we do it as well. Just understanding you got to be patient with the process. But when you were looking at that deal initially, was the SBA your first option and only option, or did you kind of go after and look at other different financing sources? Like, tell me what was going on through your head.
No, initially you want to go in with seller financing as your best option, right? If they're open to it. They weren't on the deal structure itself. But so then the SBA became a very quick second option. There's not enough assets in it to do an LBO on it. So we went that route. One nice thing about an SBA loan is they also vet the deal, right? So if you're like, am I screwing up? Well, they're going to say, this isn't what you think it is. And they'll talk you right out of it. And so it's almost like having another protege, look at your deal and say, this is good or bad.
And inside, did you use our preferred SBA lender inside our protege?
Yeah, we used Dave Marcantonio on that.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it too, is you got to have the right people, because there's a lot of SBA lenders out there, but there's not very many that have the track record that bat 1,000 every time like they do. So, and I think one of the perks of being in our group is having those connections. So the second deal, was that owner finance or was that another SBA deal?
It's part owner financing, part we financed it. And simply because he was open to seller financing part of it, and he wanted to close like right now. He's been absentee in it for, I think, 5 years. And so he had a manager in place and he just wanted out. And so we closed it as quick as we could and then went that way with it. Just because it's worth about 3 times probably what we paid for it, but he had it so low because he wanted out. So it's a small deal, but he wanted out and priced it basically to sell.
Was this a bolt-on acquisition for you all, for your other business you purchased? Yeah. So just for anybody watching, a bolt-on is when you buy another business that you can essentially bolt on to the business you already have or that you just acquired. And usually you do that because you're trying to maybe grow your market share. You're looking for cross-selling opportunities between the two customer bases, or maybe cost synergies. Imagine if you have 2 of these businesses, they're very similar, you can consolidate your back office into one group and save quite a bit of money on labor. So that's what that is. So that's good. Bolt-on transactions are great. Of the last 5 acquisitions that we've made, 2 of them have been bolt-ons. And then we've also had an acquisition recently where we acquired a company which was one of our main vendors, working with all of our company. And I think it's cool because there's so many different ways to do deals, right? So instead of Protege, you've got people who are focused on, they're already owning businesses and they're going out and focusing on bolt-ons and roll-ups and a lot of big deals. You have other people that are going out and they're looking to just work with sellers on annuity deals or seller financing. And then you have other people who are focused on consulting for equity, like a lot of the stuff that I do. And I just think that's the beautiful thing about business acquisitions, is there's so many different ways to do it. And then the other thing is, just like if you're a real estate investor and you go up to a seller, you can have 4 or 5 different options or solutions you can give them, right? If it's not a good fit for maybe a subject to, you could probably wholesale it. There's a lot of different options available. So I think in a deal making sense, you went towards that first deal hoping to do an annuity deal or seller financing, yet the deal had all the right ingredients. It was also financeable with the SBA. You had SBA look at it. They said, yep, we'll put our golden check mark on this. We can do it. And then you were able to just come up with the other money in another way. So that's why I think it's so cool. One of the things, and I'll ask your opinion on this, that I teach a lot to our inner circle proteges is the idea of, we want to go into deal origination and deal making in a world of abundance where we have more opportunities than we could ever handle. And the reason why is because we don't want to look at every single deal and try to make it fit what we're looking for. I'd rather disqualify 90% of them and really only focus on the 10% that are a perfect fit. So when you're doing your deal origination, you all have gotten 2 deals under your belt. Is it safe to say you're looking to do more now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're doing more, I mean, when you're looking at deals, are you trying to punch past the target and have a lot of opportunities so you can find just the perfect one, or what's your strategy right now?
Kind of a little bit more of a sniper kind of mentality. We did cast kind of a broad net to start with, and then we got origination, and then we've fed through some of those. Some of those are still potential options, and then we've also got new opportunities, and one of them actually is coming from the sellers of our first deal. They have a friend of theirs in the same industry that is possibly looking to retire also, and he wanted to sit down and talk with them, and they're like, let's make an introduction. And I'm like, if you're willing to do that, that's awesome.
That's a testament. Is it in the same geographic location or a different
area? Yeah, same city.
So are all 3 of these going to be all in the same city?
No. Well, the other one is about 40 miles north in a different city.
But still pretty close though.
Yeah, they're all in northern Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay. From basically the north end of Denver north. So they'll all 3 be in that area.
That's excellent. Yeah. One of the things that we talk about a lot is, begin with the end in mind. Is this a strategy that you all are pursuing to be able to have an eventual exit after putting these businesses together, making them stronger, increasing the profitability and cash flow, and maybe try to get on the radar of a bigger fish? Is that part of the process?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long-term goal, that would be it. Kind of put them all together and, get all your cost synergies in place, and then see if we can grow our top line to a point where, like a private equity firm or somebody wants it, and exit out that way.
Well, I'll tell you, I know 3 people in this industry. 2 of them have already been approached with private equity, and it just happens to be electrical contractors, specifically on the residential side. They pay a higher multiple than I've seen in many other industries, like even as high as SaaS and software as a service. So
Nice.
yeah, I was just talking to my friend Vincent about that, and I was just learning about some of that. And it's amazing how they're paying a lot more than the businesses are worth in your industry. So it's so interesting. Like, we have a concept of exit hunting, right? Where we'll say, all right, we know that there's buyers. We know there's buyers in PE, private equity, who are looking for this stuff right here in this box. We don't want to go buy those same businesses because we're going to compete with them. We can't compete and overpay. But can we go down here and buy these smaller businesses that have a lot of room to grow? They have a lot of issues that we can fix. Can we put them all together and make them fit that box and then have a big exit? So I think it's brilliant, the strategy.
Yep.
Interestingly enough, I talk to a lot of people who come into our programs, and over Dealmaker Wealth Society as a whole, Carl and I, we have 18,000 students. In Protege, it's not near 18,000, of course. We keep it smaller than that. But I talk to a lot of people. I train a lot of people. And it's interesting how the ambitions are different from person to person. Some people really just want to be that passionate owner operator, and they just want to buy a business, operate it, and do what they love, and just float off into the sunset. Some people are very ambitious, and they're looking for large exits, and they're strategically buying businesses with that in mind. Other people are looking for that one giant platform deal that can just give them enough income continuously and essentially rent that cash flow, and go off into the sun and retire. So I think it's interesting to see how everybody has their own plan. So it seems like yours and your partner, Justin, is to liberate these business owners that need to pass the business on to a safe pair of hands, improve the businesses, buy other businesses around the same area, and then be able to have an exit at some point and protect the employees and everything through the process. So I think that's cool. So just a couple more questions for me to give you. One, when you were considering business acquisitions, why did you choose Carl and Dealmaker Wealth Society?
I don't know that there was necessarily anything. I had seen his stuff pop up on YouTube, and kind of got into that. And then actually I had talked to Justin, and he knew of Carl. And then, so we got to talking about it, and then kind of, went our separate ways for whatever, a couple months, and then came back, and we were both actually in the program.
Wow.
But it was nicely targeted marketing by you guys. And then I did my research on it, and I'm like, this sounds like a win.
Awesome. It's interesting. Back in July, we actually flew to Denver for a meeting in Colorado Springs, and we actually had a drink with Justin in the airport.
Yep. Yeah, he told me that.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the exact time when that happened. So that's cool. So really, it wasn't one of those situations where you were looking at multiple different coaches and different people out there and kind of chose us. But in general, when you saw it on YouTube, you and Justin talked about it, you're like, these guys are the real deal. You know what I think is so interesting is we have so many people closing deals. I mean, you can see it in Circle. You can see it in our Facebook group. Just people are closing deals constantly. I saw one yesterday that popped up, almost brought me to tears. One of the people who closed the deal, it was Jonathan and Valerie, which is really special to see them close that deal. As well as I see a lot of other people who come in and they never even thought it's possible to get into business acquisitions. Maybe they're not business people. Maybe they haven't really hit a home run in life. Maybe they've tried several things trying to get out of the traditional workforce, and all of them failed. And then I see people succeed, and it's just, it's really powerful. So that's why I'm a big fan of what we do. To be completely candid, I could go anywhere and make tons of money doing anything. I'm really good at what I do, but I ended up choosing to partner with Carl over 2 years ago because he's mission over money, and that we are making such an impact on people. So I appreciate the fact that you all trust us and have us in your court. So Excited to see what you do next. So I know you have some more acquisitions that you're working on.
Yep.
Are you doing any off-market deal origination, or just kind of what you're looking for happens to be good businesses on broker sites?
No, we had one that we have done some off-market stuff. And then we had one that we were getting close to the finish line and it kind of fell apart, but I still kind of kicked myself over it because the money in it was nice, but just couldn't get it to. The owner ran out of patience and we ran out of time to fund it. So happens.
That's part of the game, though. That's why you punch past the target and you have multiple deals that you can play at any time. So if one falls out, it doesn't hurt too much. So I guess in closing, Dalyce, let me ask you this: if you had any advice for anybody who was thinking about getting in business acquisition, or who was wondering if it's a good fit for them, or if they wonder, are these the guys, Carl and Chris, that I should work with to learn how to do this skill, what would you say to them?
Do it. I mean, it's going to be a little bit overwhelming. It's going to be scary because if you've never done it, you've never done it, right? There's nothing scarier than something you've never done before. It's like jumping out of an airplane the first time. It's terrifying. The second time, I assume, is easy. I haven't done it, but it's going to be easier. But no, these guys know what they're doing. They are incredibly willing to teach people, and they've put together a group of people around you in the whole protege program that if they don't have the answer, somebody in the group does, and all together it's an incredible team that makes it hard to fail.
I appreciate that. I mean, when we created the program, we had to look at, like, how can we help people succeed? So if you don't know our history, Carl had a program called Ninja Acquisitions back in the day, before he went through an acquisition himself, and then bought his company back. But it was an online course, something that you can just log in and take, and you have lifetime access and you watch the videos. And what's so interesting is we found that when someone does that, they're really not stacking the deck in their favor. I mean, you're relying on your own ambitions and self-control and willpower to get in there and do it, implement. There's no feedback loop. So Carl created Protege because he wanted to be able to let someone truly be mentored. And that's when we saw all the success skyrocket. And we still have online courses that people can go in and do, but we don't even really push them that much, just because it doesn't really solve the right problem. It just educates. Education without action is just entertainment, right? So I think when you get around the right people, you find momentum. When you get around people who are like-minded, you get around people who have the same ambitions you do, who actually understand your ambitions, because not everyone who's into business acquisitions, you go home and tell your family, your wife, your girlfriend, boyfriend, they'll probably think you're crazy or it doesn't make sense. But being around people who understand you makes a big difference. So, well, at the end of this chat today, let me tell you this: if you want to just talk with me or somebody else on my team and just understand what Protege is in more detail, is it a good fit for you, whatever, you can go to www.startdoingdeals.com and just chat with my team. And let's talk about it. And there's no pressure, there's no obligation, just to have a conversation, right? Do you want to learn more about annuity deals or some of the bigger deals that Carl and myself and a lot of our proteges are doing? Do you want to learn more about the different types of lending? Just startdoingdeals.com. Come chat with us. We'd love to pour into you and see if it's a good fit. So Dalyce, thanks for everything. Keep us updated on the next deals that you're getting done. And as a guy living in Alabama, I can appreciate the Jalen Hurts jersey behind you. Yep. Have you ever seen the Hulu has live sports?
Yeah, is that really your name? Yeah,
and they overlapped it. Yeah, I think that was hysterical. Actually, we saw, and I know we're just talking now, but I was down in September in Tampa, and we were driving home from this beach bar. We were supposed to be at the conference. We went to the beach bar instead, and my buddy Ross is like, "Look at that!" And it was a blimp in the air, and it was the Monday Night Football blimp. Mm-hmm. And literally, he got on his phone, bought us 50-yard line tickets, and I had to like swerve and go watch it. It was the Bucks versus the Eagles. Nice. And I'll tell you, I was super impressed with the Eagles fans and the way that they travel. I mean, there was everyone around me was Eagles. It was crazy. So
they're a tough fan base, but they travel well.
They do travel well.
They throw ice balls at Santa Claus, but they're incredible fans. So what do you do?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, hey, if everybody wants to chat with me or with my team, www.startdoingdeals.com. Just book a time to chat with us. Let's chat. And thanks for hopping on with us today, Dalyce. And Best of luck in the future as you continue to work the deals that you're working. And I'm excited to watch this roll up commence.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Chris.
All right. Thank you.